Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at the very first ever Psychic type, Alolan Marowak. Now, Alolan Marowak is both Fire type and Ghost type in the video game, meaning that when it comes over to the trading card game, it has an option to either be a Fire type or a Psychic type, because Ghosts are Psychic in the TCG. And the first Alolan Marowak we got was Fire type. And it was alright for 0 energy. It allowed you to search your discard pile and attach a fire energy from there to your Pokemon any way you like for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. That's a decent little setup attack that can get a lot of energy on the board very, very, very quickly indeed. So we like that. But the better one, the one which was far better, was the one that came in Forbidden Light, also a Fire type. And for 0 energy, it let you search your deck for 2 energy cards, basic energy, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. But for a double colourless energy, you do 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play that has Alolan in its name. But it was also a Fire type. And then we get Alolan Marowak GX, and I should mention our translations today do come from the lovely David Hochmann. And the ability says that if it is active and damaged by your opponent's active Pokemon, it's confused. Their Pokemon, not yours. Fire double colourless, 90 damage plus burn. And the GX attack for 0 energy, 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Not amazing, but it is a 0 energy attack after all. But again, they're all Fire type. Well, no more, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting a Psychic type Alolan Marowak, and it is coming in GX Ultra Shiny, which means it will be in Team Up when it gets released over in the US, Europe, UK, etc. And like a bunch of the Pokemon we've been looking at from GX Ultra Shiny, it is an alternate type. So it is the good one from Forbidden Light, but it's a Psychic type now. Cool. 120 HP, we're not a fan of 120 HP. Non-GX Boswell hits 120, that's not ideal. Zoroark hits 120, that's not ideal. Oh no, wait, you're weak to darkness, so actually that really doesn't matter, Zoroark will be smashing you. And the weakness to darkness really isn't such a huge deal here, because Zoroark's gonna one-hit KO you anyway, so it's not like any other darkness Pokemon are really hitting key numbers because of it. The resistance to fighting, however, is great. Absolutely great. Buzzwole is still everywhere, the GX and the non-GX. So, you know how I told you how non-GX Buzzwole will get a one-hit KO? Yeah, I kind of lied to you, because they do 120, but with your resistance, it goes down to 100. Except I kind of just lied to you then, because they all play Diancie Prism Star, which will put it back up to 120 even with resistance. The 120 HP still isn't good. The resistance to fighting is lovely. It means these Buzzwole are going to be doing like 10 damage initially, which I am totally all in favour of. The retreat cost of 2 sucks, but you are going to be using a double colourless energy, and you are going to be attacking most of the time, so it's rarely going to be an issue. But it's the Psychic typing which is a big story here, because we've had this Pokemon for a while as a Fire type. Although one thing I really do need to point out super early here. The attack is for a double colourless energy. You don't need to play any Fire energy. You don't need to play any Psychic energy here. So there's no reason you couldn't play a mixture. You can only play 4 in total, but there's no reason you couldn't play some of the Fire type and some of the Psychic type and bundle them all together into one big bad deck here. You can play a mixture. And yeah, being Fire type actually means you're hitting weakness against the majority of grass Pokemon, like Golisopod and Decidueye, as well as the majority of metal Pokemon like Duskmane Necrozma, or Metagross. The thing is, these Pokemon that are weak to fire are seeing play. They're just all seeing play as fringe decks. Decks that are alright but not seeing a huge amount of success. Whereas if you're hitting for Psychic weakness, well then you're hitting against Buzzwole and Necrozma. both of whom are seeing a huge amount of play, Necrozma in Malamar decks. And actually, these are incredibly relevant Pokemon. To be perfectly blunt here, the Psychic type hits a much better weakness. And the Fire type's weak to water, which is fine because there isn't much good water around at the moment. I mean, look, there's the odd Lapras deck running around, of course there is. And there's the odd Wishy-Washy deck, but these are fringe decks. And similarly, your weakness to darkness because of your HP is kind of irrelevant. So before we even start looking at the attacks again, I think you're hitting a better weakness. I think your weakness is much of a muchness, and you've gained a resistance to pretty much the best attackers in the game. I mean, to go back to your resistance, if we look at Lycanroc, generally speaking, Lycanroc hits 110 with Claw Slash, goes up to 130 with Diancie Prism Star, but then down to 110 because of your resistance, and you're actually taking that hit whereas you wouldn't otherwise be. Your resistance here rocks. So purely in terms of weakness and resistance and the weakness you're hitting, it's better as a Psychic type. But let's take another quick look at the attacks here, shall we? Because it's been a while since we looked at this card. 0 energy, search your deck for 2 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. Now, especially in a post-Wally world, I'm not loving this. Because, best case scenario, you go first, can't attack. Turn 2, you evolve up, and then you use this to accelerate energy. And it's only basic energy, so you can't get your double colourless. And it's rarely going to be good enough, ladies and gentlemen. It's rarely going to work the way you want it to. It's too slow. If this was on a basic Pokemon, something like Mew from Shining Legends, for instance, I like a whole heap more. Of course, Mew from Shining Legends has a pitiful 30 HP, so even though it's got a really nice attack and free retreat, it's got 30 HP, and actually it is for Psychic energy, which is a pain. And Shining Mew can get any energy, not just basic, but no. So, I like the first attack in theory, but in reality, you're just never going to be able to get this rolling because, well, if it does get rolling, you're going to be behind in the game. But a really good attack here for a double colourless energy does 20 damage for each Pokemon that you have in play with Alolan in its name. So in theory, you do 120 for a double colourless energy as long as you've got a full bench and you're only playing Alolan Pokemon. And something like Alolan Executor hits 120 for a single energy, and people like that. And Zoroark hits 120 for a single energy, and people like that. When I say single energy, I'm talking to 1 energy attachment, so I am counting double colourless here as a single energy. Even though we all know it is actually 2 energy, it's 1 energy card. The difficulty with this has always been, can you set up without using non-Alolan Pokemon? Because the setup Pokemon we got at the moment are things like Tapu Lele, Oranguru, Macargo, none of which are Alolan Pokemon. And I said at the time with Alolan Marowak, I will pop a link to the original video in the description, though it was quite an old video, so do be aware that, I was talking in a different format back then. But what I essentially said was that if we ever get an Alolan Pokemon which gives us some kind of consistency, this is going to be so much better. And we kind of do here. We have the new Alolan Ninetales coming in Lost Thunder. And Alolan Ninetales, when you evolve into it, lets you search for any 2 item cards and put them into your hand. Now, it's not every turn draw. It's not consistent draw power, but it's enough to get you set up here. And that could be all that you need. Plus, it evolves some Alolan Vulpix, who for 0 energy searches out 2 Pokemon. So in theory, turn 1, you grab your Alolan Vulpix. You use your energy attachment for the turn to retreat whatever's in the active. Then you use Beacon to grab an Alolan Ninetales and something else. And what's great here is you can play this as an Alolan Ninetales deck with Fairy Energy. You can play whatever basic energy you like here, as long as you're playing some double colourless for your Alolan Marowak. Although we don't have an item card that searches out double colourless energy, we do have Energy Lotto at the moment, which really helps. So that could be an option here. We still don't have a draw engine, which is an Alolan Pokemon. But we have Alolan Ninetales, and you hit for Psychic or Fire weakness, and you can play whatever basic energy and other Alolan Pokemon you like here. We are getting closer and closer to this being a great deck. I still think we need a better draw engine, but now you at least have the option of getting set up, which you didn't have before, and you're hitting 2 weaknesses. And you can play whatever other types you like to hit for a 3rd and maybe a 4th weakness. There is a lot more going on for this now than there was last time we looked at it. And as a side note here, according to Bulbapedia, we are going to be getting Ether Foundation Employee in this set, which is a supporter card we've not had so far that lets you put 3 Pokemon with Alolan in their name from your discard pile into your hand, which is better than Rescue Stretcher because all 3 of them go into your hand, but it is a supporter card, so maybe that'll help. I'm going to be giving this between 3 and 4 Wossies. We don't give half Wossies, that would be barbaric. I still think there's potential, but I still think we're 1 Alolan Pokemon with a draw engine away from this being amazing. I genuinely believe that as soon as we get one, it's going to be over the top. For now, it's very, very good. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts, but do please remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, other than going and checking out youtube.com/WasseyPlays for more lovely Wassy action, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.